welcome to my kitchen. Today, me and my mom, Chef Arlene, are going to be cooking up two fantastic dishes. One is a chicken dish and one is a tofu dish, and it's inspired by our club, the Meal Planning Club, where we had our students pick 4 ingredients to make a dish, to create a recipe, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. And the ingredients that they picked were rosemary, garlic, breadcrumbs, and lemon. So we're going to sort of walk you through this whole process, show you the final dish. And the really cool thing about what we're doing inside the Meal Planning Club is that once we make the dish and we share the recipe, we're going to invite our students to elevate that dish even more and to use their intuition to create something magical. So thanks for joining us today. We'll see you in a little bit, and ciao.
Started. We've got the oven on at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to take these little peppers that are appearing in the markets these days, and just cutting a slit into each one, placing it on a sheet pan. Something I might have done in advance, but just take you through it. Whoops. I feel like Julia when she makes a mistake.
What would she say if she made a mistake?
She said, la, la, la. She'd slough it off. And mistakes in the kitchen happen constantly. So I'm not too concerned about it. Okay, so we're going to grind a little pepper. Salt, pinch of sugar, because peppers are a sweet vegetable, and very often these little ones are not as sweet as we would like them to be. Often you will do this with tomatoes as well. If they're not terribly sweet, a little pinch of sugar will make a very big difference. Very roughly chopped garlic. There's about 4 cloves here. And we want to get a nice garlicky flavor. And now I'm going to put a generous amount of oil, but that oil I'm saving for something else. This goes for the peppers. A good amount of oil so that they're going to be like soaking in the oil. And I'm going to put the cut sides face down so they pick up a lot of flavor. And the oil and the salt and the pepper and the sugar will all blend together. I'm going to cover it with this, and I'm going to sit in the oven for a good 45 minutes or so. Then I'm going to remove the top and let them cook just a little bit longer for about 15 minutes. Get nice and soft.
Okay, so I have pressed both of these little cutie tofus, and I just wrapped them in the paper towel and just pressed it for about 10 minutes to get all the fluid out. And then I'm just gonna create like little slabs like this. And because we're gonna be using the tofu in the same way that we would use the chicken, in case you're vegetarian or vegan like me.
Okay, now for the oil part. Have a half a cup of extra virgin olive oil. We're going to make an infusion. We're going to give a great flavor to this oil. I have about 4 garlic cloves, roughly chopped. 3, I'm just going to bruise them a little bit. 3 halves. They're 3 small sprigs of rosemary.
Why do you bruise it?
To get the essential oils
more
out.
like bioavailable.
Right. We're going for big time flavor here. Piece of orange rind. It's a very Mediterranean recipe. We're trying to stick to what makes sense together. And I'm putting a little bit of hot peppers in there. And then we're just going to heat this oil on a very low flame. We will not allow it to, we don't want it to boil. We're just going to bring it up to a nice temperature and let it sit at that temperature for about 25 minutes. The only way to know if it's done the way we like it is that we'll have to taste it. So we'll be back for the tasting.
We're also going to be using rosemary today. Rosemary is one of my favorite herbs. It not only does it have an incredible aroma that can like really boost your mood. People use rosemary oil all the time as an essential oil, but it's also really good as an antibacterial. And there's actually been studies that show it can actually reduce staph infections. So it's also very good for digestion. So it's just a fabulous herb to cook with, to utilize in your life, and we're excited to use it today.
Okay, so we're back. Just going to demo how we chop the almonds. If you can use, certainly you can use a food processor, but we want them roughly chopped. Don't make too many turns if you use a food processor. I kind of love banging on these.
Get your anger rushing out.
Absolutely. But I do feel I have more control over the size of the product. So we're going to measure half a cup of this, and then Jennifer will be back, and Jennifer will show you how we combine the breadcrumbs.
I go by Jenny, by the way. She's my mom. She should know that. Okay, and now we're going to make the seasoned breadcrumbs. And so this is 1 cup of, actually this is just regular breadcrumbs. You can get the panko kind, you can use just your regular breadcrumbs at any store. You can also make your own breadcrumbs if you like, if you want to get fancy. And this is a half a cup of the crushed almonds that we showed you earlier. And then this is going to be just 1/4 of a cup of just chopped parsley, which adds a lot of really, kind of like a zest, a little bite to it, which I really like. Of course, we're going to add our salt, just a little bit of salt. And I like to start small with the salt and then add more later if you need, and then a little bit of pepper. And then we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of just your good quality olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. So we'll just add 1 and 2. And then we're just going to mix this up, but you're definitely going to want to taste it. You don't want to rely just on a recipe alone. You have to trust your instincts, trust your palate, and see what it might need. But one more thing before we add and stir is just a teeny bit of orange zest, because that's going to add a little sort of like liveliness to it, I would say, a little flavor, extra flavor. And so I have my little zest, and I'm just going to right into the bowl, just as much as I can here. And then you can do that, you can scrape it off with your finger. And then we're just going to stir this up. Ooh, it looks so good.
And we're simply going to, we sprinkled a little more rosemary. We put the flavored oil over the top of the chicken and the tofu. And now we're going to salt and pepper them. Well, once I dry my hands. So, all right, thanks, Jen. Salting fairly generously, and do the pepper, and then I'll lay them down in the roasting pan. And if you, I'll trade you. Give me some salt, and you can have the pepper.
Okay.
Alrighty. So now I'm going to lay the chicken down in the roasting pan.
And I'm going to do the same with the tofu. I'm just going to use a spoon. But
I can see that these chicken breasts are of different sizes, so they're going to, I'm going to have to cook them at different rates. The smaller one will come out before the bigger ones. A little more salt on the other side, and I'll get pepper again for the other side. Okay, now I just want to make sure that they're breast side up, And I'm going to cover the chicken with a coating of the breadcrumbs. We're going to let some of the breadcrumbs fall down into in and around the pan because I'm going to use a little bit of juice from that orange to keep the pan moist, to keep the bottom of the chicken moist.
This is so pretty. Look at
Oh
this.
yeah, those are beautiful, Jen. They're a little prettier than my chicken, but we'll see. We'll see. So I'm going to put the rest of this in and around the pan because I'm going to put a little bit of orange juice around, and it'll turn into like something like a sauce, a little bit of a sauce. What happened to that knife? Here we go. So Jen, maybe you should take another orange because I think you'll need that. I'm just putting this orange juice in and around. And we'll watch it. If we may have to add a little bit of water or a little bit of chicken stock at some point.
Yep. And just a note for the vegetarian vegans, I'm gonna put mine on top because I just think it's a cleaner way. We don't want the chicken juices to come into my nice vegetarian tofu. And also because it's tofu, it's gonna cook for much less time than the chicken. So mine's gonna go in first, and then yours will come in later.
Yeah, so you're about what? Yours will be about 15 minutes. I'll be more like 30. You know, so much of this is common sense. I can't promise that I'll be sticking to a strictly 30 minutes. It's going to depend on my chicken. It's going to depend on the sizes of the chicken. And then I'm going to, while they're cooking, I'm going to remove the seeds from these peppers and then add them to the dish in the last 5 minutes just to heat them through. Jenny, yours is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the grain or starch of the meal today is going to be couscous, and this is like a tri-colored couscous. I'm just using the back to, tell me how to make it, and it's gonna be super simple. Really the star of the show here, the star of the meal, is the chicken and the tofu. So the tofu is ready and I'm really excited. I have to be honest, I already actually took a bite before, but I wanted you guys to see this because it's so beautiful. This is so flavorful. It's like so simple to make, and I hope you guys try this at home. And if you do, please let us know because I don't know, that would make us really happy. So,
Sounds
so
crunchy.
good. It is so crunchy, delicious.